Now let's go over to our handy Excel keyboard shortcut section. And the first one is cancel. So if we're trying to do something in here, you could just press escape and it will cancel your action. Next is hide and show menu. So it's pretty much the same thing. And we can do that by pressing Control F1. So you could see here the menu on top, and sometimes it takes real estate with our screen. And if we want to have a bigger spreadsheet that's easier for us to see, we could just press Control F1. So let me try that now. And it's gonna hide the menu. And if I press this again, Control F1, it's gonna show the menu bar as well. Okay, so next one is repeat last action, which is by pressing F4. So let's say right now, I'll just copy this one and I'll paste this over here. And if I go to the next cell and I'll press F4, it's gonna redo the same thing that I did in my previous action. So let's press F4 right now, and you can see it tried to do the same thing. Next is move to previous cell, which is by pressing Shift Tab. So if you are navigating, or let's say I'm situated over here at the moment, and I'll press Shift Tab, it's gonna go back to the previous cell. And if I press Tab, it's gonna do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. Next is delete, which is the use of backspace. If I do this, it's gonna delete the cell, and that's for clearing up the contents easily as well. Next is move up. So if I press Control up, so if I go here, Control up, it's gonna move to the topmost cell. If I go Control down, then this is for moving down. It's gonna go to the last cell at the bottom. And it's also pretty handy for example, if I'm situated over here, if I press Control down, it's gonna stop here, Control down again. It's gonna move to the end of the table and Control down again. It's gonna go to the last cell. And now let's press Control up. It's gonna go here at the end of the table, Control up again. It's gonna move to the top of the table, Control up again. It's gonna move to the top of the sheet. It's pretty handy if you're navigating across a big worksheet and you want to go across different cells very easily. And it's the same thing as well. If we want to move left, Control left. Okay, so let's try that. And if I want to move to the right, let's press Control right. So if I do that, it's gonna move here, Control left again. It's gonna go back here. So if I try this right now, Control right, it's gonna move to the start of the table, Control right again. Gonna move here, and it's gonna move to the end. Okay, Control left again, it's gonna go back here. Next is highlight upwards. So if we want to highlight, let's say this specific cell over here up to the top, we're gonna do that by Control Shift up. So let's try that now. Control Shift up. And if I do this Control Shift down, it's gonna highlight downwards. So if I do this, it's gonna highlight everything underneath very easily. Okay. So if I do highlight left at the moment, it's gonna be over here. Let's say, let's pick this cell over here. Control Shift left, it's gonna highlight this part. And if I do Control Shift right, it's gonna highlight it to the right. Okay. Now let's try out highlight data. So if I go back here, okay, so let me just delete this cell over here. And if you recall in the previous tutorial, if I go Control minus, it's actually going to delete the cell for me. Okay. Let's delete these two cells over here. Control minus. Okay. Now let's try the next keyboard shortcut, which is highlighting of data. So it's gonna be Control asterisk. So if I press this right now, it's gonna highlight the entire table very easily for me. Next is opening of macros. So if we want to open the macro list, so let's go Alt F8. You can see here the macro pane, and there's the list of macros that you want to run or edit. So let's cancel that one. And last but not least, we have the VBA editor. So it's gonna be Alt F11. So if we press that right now, it's gonna open up the VBA pane over here, and you can see your worksheets as well.